So, and we're missing one of our group, but we're going to go forward. So what we explored was a notion of, we visited this school, this place yesterday, and I mean, personally, I was blown away at many levels, that it was complex, it was vibrant, it was alive, and so it has this state now. It's embedded in that corner, and there's something happening there. So what we did is we wanted to play with, if we want to talk about systems, the system it's part of, how does that systemic kind of thinking around it, the bigger community that's around it. So and it's a nested system. So there's the instructor, the teacher, let's say, and then there's the classroom, or in this case, it was more varied than that. So there's the instructor, the school, that system embedded in a particular place. So we explored, what could that mean? How do you leverage this nested system so you're just not focusing on the human behavior or the human capital, that you're starting to think about how is the evolution of this place affecting at a community scale. So it's creating, it's shifting a mind. That working at a nested system gives you so many more strategies. We could work the whole community. We could use that same capital work the community that also increases the capacity of how they're teaching. And personally, I take away that I didn't consider it a school at all. It's not a traditional school. It's a complex system of things they want that includes learning and that sort of thing. But they've got something that's pretty special. So we wanted to explore this notion of embedding them in a bigger system and how can they continue. And we named it a little bit that we said, perhaps the school, its role right now, which could evolve, is demonstrating. That its key value point to the community is to demonstrate the potential of what could be. Because we weren't talking about what is and how to go get money to do something so much as what the role that it's playing today could change. They could demonstrate to a point that another node sets up in the community somewhere, and they continue to demonstrate. Maybe their role is to aggregate later, start aggregating that, and start creating a place that becomes somewhat gentrified free. They're not going to gentrify because they're creating enough force, enough place, and that sort of thing. So I'm going to stop, and we're just going to popcorn kind of things we talked about, what worked for us, what wasn't working with this notion of nested systems, and so leveraging that sort of thing. Is that a fair grounding? We lost one of our members. Oh, he's here. Come over here. Come on. You can't hide, so you have to share. So just put it out here.
Okay. Well, in other projects, we talked about the community supporting a school. And so I was looking for ways for this business community to support the schools. And it wouldn't be as much as richer school districts and all, but I would think that building a coalition of businesses, and in this particular school, I think all the teachers come from outside that area. But what I see for the future is if more and more teachers come from within the community, and then the businesses rally around these teachers to support them. If they're having a desperate need at home, health-wise or grocery-wise, or can't pay their rent or whatever, that the coalition of businesses make sure these teachers are supported. And so I thought that would be a systems-wide community effort that would support teachers.
So one of the things that we talked about is that this area is heading for some pretty heavy-duty gentrification, and this is a community-based organization, but the community as it exists now is probably not going to be sustainable unless something fairly dramatic happens. But I think one of the things that often is a challenge in really poor neighborhoods is that if young people figure out how to, let's say, go to college and get a good job or whatever, it means they have to leave their community. Well, one of the things that's happening and that's driving the gentrification is a lot of businesses moving in, a lot of high-tech companies and whatnot. So kids, I think one of the things that struck me is, as an after-school program, the fact that they have teenagers there, because the vast majority of after-school programs I've ever seen don't really get many kids over 12, 13 years old. They have teenagers, they have kids engaged, but a lot of what's going on right now is really around arts and creative stuff that's wonderful, but it seems like they have the potential to start doing more of what happens here, which is partner with surrounding businesses and organizations and to begin to do some more kind of career-focused stuff that might give young people in the community the opportunity to actually take some of these new jobs that are coming in the area and allow them to stay in the community, allow them potentially to keep their families in the community. So that was an idea.
So I think, on that side of things, this partnership is already doing a great job of looking creatively at partnerships, of having a place called home, and then also the DaVinci School sharing a space, using that space and meeting the needs of those families. Is you hear a little bit about it yesterday, so that's where like the context side of me wants to know more. Is tell me more. But you heard about it yesterday, a little bit about the partnerships with the nonprofits, and so it'd be interesting to hear more about those partnerships, but then even doing some research on Central Alameda as well as South Park, the number of rec centers that exist there, and then also the number of charter schools there. And so it'd be interesting, how do you expand that impact in those relationships? And I think something that we talked about in regards to gentrification too is the local home ownership. 66% renters. So 66% renters, how do you create local home ownership for the people that work in these settings, so that then, as the prices go up and as they outstrip maybe, even the wages of educators or nonprofit workers, how do you create affordable housing for people to live and work within their community?
So I'm a systems guy. I got really fixated on teachers in this conversation, trying to figure out, if I had 2 years, what would I really do to ensure teachers thrived and were successful? Mainly because I want students in that 2 years to also have that experience of success. It's interesting to think about, if I had to pull out specific things, I don't know that we identify any specific things, but the more I wrestle with it, the more I think an area of focus in that 2 years would be to make sure we spend a lot of time helping teachers to understand instructional practice or how to read data or blah, 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 lots of different things. But I think in this context, to really spend an inordinate amount of time helping them to understand the context of their community. What you call the fooding, the food economy, the whole idea of the community that they're nested in, helping them to craft better creative understanding of how they serve that community, but then also on the other side of that, how they themselves mitigate the pressure of understanding that community. I think that in the 2 years would probably be the most viable, valuable activity that could establish thriving as opposed to just surviving.
Rise and DaVinci are both outliers in ways of being in a human way, communities that are revitalizing themselves. Rise is perhaps emergent, but it still has the same way of being as DaVinci. DaVinci is sustainable. If you were thinking about how to create more outliers, one of the ways that one might do that would be to find the seeds, the places that are more like a rise. There is some internal desire and some increase in capital. We've talked about 5. Fooding might be one. And you start to tell that story so that others from the outside can help to bring in capital. Because one of the big ahas was that here at DaVinci, their board chairman is a very wealthy man. They had wealthy benefactors there, but it wasn't just financial wealth. It was other kinds of capital to come in to help them lift up what they wanted to do.